Brad Harris. I'm the assistant coach of the men's sevens team. I've been with the team since December 2019, which is when I came on board to assist with the prep to the Olympics. And we were tracking along that pathway until March. And then obviously the pandemic hit worldwide and we were almost in a state of flux, holding on for 12 full months. And then in February, I came back and joined the program on the island. And our preparation sort of took off in terms of building up for the Olympics from there. It involved 12 months prep on the island, where they were lucky enough at that point to be COVID-free, and they managed to, with the help of the FRU and the local teams, they managed to organise quite a few tournaments where we were able to trial boys and give them sevens tournaments on the island. And that was a great help. After that period, we managed to get some assistance to leave Fiji and come to Townsville to participate in the Oceania Sevens tournament. And then from there, we transitioned over to Oita in Japan for 2 weeks, where we held some training camps there and finalised our prep. And then we moved on to the Olympic Village and defended the gold medal.
So from a coach's perspective and bringing a new squad and team together, COVID really created some hurdles for you, and you had planned, you had to change them. Even the Townsville event was up and down for a while. So what, from a coaching perspective, did you have to bring to the team to get them through that?
Yeah, so there was huge challenges. I think Gareth used to work with a big whiteboard in the coach's office, and I'd say we changed it 15 or 20 times in total. As you said, the Oceania tournament was originally scheduled for around Easter time, and then with the COVID situation that happened in New Zealand and Australia, that got put back a month and another month. So I think constantly we're just dealing with different scenarios and different opportunities of how it might look. We're quite lucky in that the Fijians are very adaptable, and as long as we were sort of planned, we were able to do things with that adaptability in mind and just go with the flow, which the boys did tremendously well. For me as a coach, it was just about making sure that we could control what we could control, really, which was our training and our preparation. We were lucky that once COVID took over the island in Fiji, we managed to maintain our training environment through staying in a bubble. So in a way, whilst that presented some challenges from a pure rugby point of view and a pure coaching point of view, it helped us because we had the players pretty much 24/7, 7 days a week. So it certainly helped us improve our rugby detail, improve our tactical detail to a level that I don't think the boys had trained at before.
And the Fijian teams and the culture is very family-orientated, very connected. How did the players and the squad manage that, being so close to their family but not with them in a bubble, and then, of course, coming to Townsville for the PacificAus Sports event, and then going to Japan? How did they manage that personally and emotionally?
Yeah, look, that was without doubt the biggest challenge that we faced. The boys marched into a camp in Suva that was due to be a 5-day camp from a Monday to a Friday, with the expectation that they were going to go home to their families that weekend. And unfortunately, when the COVID crisis hit the island, the only way we could continue with our prep was to maintain a bubble, so the boys weren't able to go home and see their families. And look, there were ups and downs with that. There were times where the boys felt like they needed to break the bubble and they needed to go home. And look, as coaches, I think Gareth was very good the way he led the program. I think, we gave the boys a choice. We understood that, as important as the Olympics were and as committed as we all were, that there's nothing more important than family. So luckily for us, the boys managed to push through those days that weren't so good. They stayed committed and they stayed in the bubble. And then even when we went to Townsville, COVID seemed to follow us. There was a bit of an outbreak up there, and we had a couple of days up there where we had a little bit more normality and freedom in what we could do before we were shut down again in our bubble, even in Townsville. So by the time we got to Oita and we were in a bubble, and by the time we got to the Olympic Village, we were certainly well used to living and operating within a bubble.
and the competition opportunity that the PacificAus Sports event in Townsville and Oceania Rugby bringing that together. The boys hadn't had a real hit out against opposition for, near on 6 months. So I suppose that was a key part of your preparation.
A vital part of our preparation, and we're really grateful to be given the opportunity to come and play an international tournament. While we did have those tournaments on the island where we were playing against Fijian teams, as we know, the Fijian style is quite unique and varied from the rest of the world. So it certainly got us physically prepared. It's a tough environment to play sevens in, but we knew that we'd get tested in a variety of different ways than what the traditional Fijian style was. So the opportunity to get off the island and test mainly our younger guys. We had 4 or 5 guys within our squad who hadn't played in an international tournament. And while they were ready, the experience of playing the game at a different pace and a different tempo, different officiating, different conditioning, all of those types of factors, the chance to get off the island and test ourselves before we went to the Olympics and before we finalised selection it played a huge role in our success.
And given all those hurdles, Fiji, Townsville, Awita, when you finally arrived in Tokyo, tell us about the conditions, the environment, the heat. Did you feel you were ready for it? And as defending champions, targets on your back with all these hurdles in your way, did you feel confident that you could perform?
Yeah, look, we're always confident in the boys' ability and the preparation that we'd put the boys through. And Oceania also built a lot of confidence and belief in our team as well, especially for those younger guys that I've mentioned. The fact that we were able to go out there and perform so well certainly led us to believe that, if we performed, we could give ourselves a chance to defend the medal. But it was quite surreal when we arrived in the village because we'd gone from 5 months of living in a bubble without really interacting with anyone other than ourselves to go into an Olympic village environment where you're staying in a high-rise with thousands of athletes and you're frequenting the food hall where there's just thousands and thousands of people interacting and look, whilst they're social distancing, it was certainly a different environment. So that took a bit of an adjustment from us and from the boys in the short term, but we were lucky we arrived with plenty of time to get adjusted to all that and fine-tune any little timing issues or anything like that we had. So by the time we got to tournament week, we were prepared and ready to go.
Now, it's become the standard, unfortunately, in world sport at the moment, but to compete in front of empty stadiums, it was horrific to watch such quality sport in all the Olympic events, but you're playing in like a 50,000-seat stadium to have no one there and no crowd noise. Is that something your team survive on, or they just got used to playing in silence?
Look, one of the things that our preparation gave us on the island, we were quite lucky. We had use of ANZ Stadium in Suva, which is the national stadium. And look, it's not a 50,000-seat stadium, but it's a 15 to 20,000-seat stadium. And we had exclusive use to that for our prep. So one of the things that we did is we actually ran our own mini Olympics on the island before we came. So we did the Olympic format where we played 2 games each day over 3 days at the same times as what we would play in Tokyo. And that was in an empty stadium. So I think, getting those things right in our preparation certainly helped the players and the coaching and the management all prepare to a level where by the time we got to the actual Olympics, we were prepared and ready and we knew what to expect. So it's not ideal. And I think it was a concern that we'd spoken about in the lead up. That was that, we're quite a well-supported team and the way that we play does excite the crowd and certainly bring the crowd participation into the game. But we managed to prepare for the fact that, there might not be spectators at the stadium, which it ended up being.
And did you have much contact with the Fijiana? Was there a connection and with other Olympic athletes once you got into the village? Did they feel additional support from their countrymen and women? Yeah,
great. Yeah, it was really good. Unfortunately, when we were in Fiji, we had a separate bubble to the Fijiana. But once we got to Townsville, we stayed in the same hotel. And whilst we maintained the integrity of our bubble, we were able to integrate a bit more and do some team lotus and a few team gatherings and things like that where we could, unite under, I guess, the Team Fiji banner. And it was similar once we got to the village. We were able to to spend a little bit more time with the FASNOC team and with the athletes that were part of Team Fiji. And Oita was really good for that. Oita, there was a couple of lotus that we did and a couple of welcoming ceremonies where it certainly gave us a sense that, it wasn't just the Fiji men's sevens competing. We were just one part of Team Fiji that were competing. And that certainly helps, I think. It certainly did help in the build-up, and it certainly helped once we got to Tokyo. We sort of knew everyone that we were going to mingle with, and it certainly was a good environment for us.
And was there good connection to family and friends back home? Was the love coming across the internet as far as the team support?
It was, yeah. And look, one of the things, as you know, through the boys is through their faith and their culture. So we made sure that we did a family lotu, I should say, every week on a Sunday, where the families from back home could dial in, and you could certainly see the boys get a lift from seeing their loved ones and sharing their faith and whatnot with them on a Sunday, and the hymns and all the stuff that went with the Lotu service. So I think that gave the boys a big lift. And they, through the messaging from back home, I think they understood the significance of what a positive performance could do for the country back home.
And in all that, from bubbles in Fiji to Townsville to Oita to the games themselves, all those ups and downs, from your own personal experience dealing with the Fijians, their culture, the people and everything around it, is there a standout moment for you that signifies what that was all about?
Yeah, I mean, look, the great thing about working with a Fijian team is quite often you get moments almost every day where you sort of pinch yourself to be involved, where you see the humility and how humble they are, and just to see them around the village, see the awe in which they were held in by all the other athletes and all the other countries was amazing. But the boys just went about their business. They didn't change. They didn't try and deviate from who they are or what they do on a daily basis. But I think just the whole 3-day tournament for me was a standout. There's a few moments in between games where, and even on the last day, on the gold medal day, in between our semi-final and the gold medal game, our boys were just so relaxed and so content with where they were. They were lying around, playing the guitars, singing their hymns, and just totally relaxed. And that's something that, I'll never forget being a part of, for sure.
And I think if I recall seeing the end of the final match and the medal ceremony, the coaches were able to join the team when they sang together as a group. Were you part of that? And were you able to join the team in that environment?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, and look, I think that's part of the uniqueness and the environment that the Fijian team create. Every time after a game, they come together and they celebrate their faith, and they give thanks to the Lord for looking after them and providing them with the opportunity to go out and display their skill set. And so that was a real special moment, without doubt, to be part of that. Bit surreal, as you said, because normally that sort of moment comes with a capacity 50,000 seat stadium roaring, but I think it probably added to the significance of the moment, where it was silence and it was just us celebrating our moment together as a management and as a playing group. And it was certainly a moment I won't forget.
And was, I suppose, take it back half an hour before that moment, when that final whistle blew and the defending champions had kept their gold medal, where were you, and what was the emotion that you felt at that stage?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't go down on the sideline. I sit up in the stand just to get a bit of a higher view, to get a different coaching perspective. But for me personally, with about 30 seconds to go, when the ball went out and we had a line out, and then we got a penalty for them being offside, and then the clock got down to about 10, 15 seconds, and sort of then the reality dawns that we've probably achieved it. So there's a huge sense of relief, a huge sense of, as I said, relief, a huge sense of just excitement, and thoughts to everyone back in Fiji, and the joy that it would bring. I managed to make my way down on the field pretty quickly after that, and join the boys on the field, where the emotion was still quite high, and everyone was still celebrating in their own way, and giving thanks to the Lord for what they'd achieved. And it was, as I said to you before, walking onto that field, having played a small part in achieving that for me personally was hugely satisfying. And
conscious there's no ticker tape parades just yet back in Fiji. They're still struggling with COVID amongst other things. But have you heard, I'm sure there's an eagerness for the players to get out of quarantine and celebrate with their family and friends. What's the mood back in Fiji?
Yeah, look, the boys are currently quarantining at the moment. And then they're staying connected through our chat groups and our Zooms and all that sort of stuff. So, but I think the mood across the country is one of exhilaration. And look, given the circumstance and how the COVID thing is at the moment on the island, I'm not quite exactly sure how they will celebrate that properly. But hopefully, the boys can get an opportunity to have some sort of a parade or be acknowledged in some way for what they've achieved for their country, for sure.
And the Fijiana, you guys had won your competition and the girls started the next day. Were you a part of, and were you able to go and watch games and support the girls through their campaign?
Yeah, throughout Oita and throughout Townsville, we certainly watched a few of their games and supported where we could. Once we got to the village, it was a little bit difficult because we obviously went into competition phase over the 3 days, and you don't have a lot of time for much else. But we certainly, gave them all our best and send our regards and best wishes for their performances. And I know the boys, and I know even myself here, were certainly watching and supporting on the TV. And what they achieved is equally as special as what the boys achieved. I think that, what they've given female sport on the island is a huge boost, and I think that they're real role models for what can be achieved and what talent does exist on the island, not just in men's sport but also in female sport. And I'm hoping now that they can really kick on and really push to continue their climb up the rankings and hopefully continue to compete for not just medals but hopefully winning of these tournaments. Next year's a big year with the Commonwealth Games and the Sevens World Cup, and hopefully if they get their preparation right with the talent that they have, they can be pushing for another medal spot and hopefully taking out those tournaments.
And yeah, conscious of that Com Games and World Series, where's the talk about the three-peat? Do we see Fiji in Paris 2024? Have they got the skills and the youth and the ability to go for a third gold medal?
Oh, without doubt, the talent that's on that island and the love and the love of the game of sevens and the support that you get from the whole of the community, without doubt, the team can certainly go 3 from 3. The nucleus of the team that we had is young. There's a few of the boys that might not make it, but there's certainly a conveyor belt of talent that's coming through on the island. So no doubt they can certainly push, hopefully, to go 3. Be great.
Well, thank you for your time and good luck in quarantine, and congratulations to you and to all those that were a part of that program. I'm sure it will make a lasting impact on sport and rugby in Fiji. And congratulations and thanks for your time.